powerful industry in which you can do that. Long answer to your brilliant question. Yes, sir.
Kim, a question. You and I were talking earlier about the simple fact that we have the mistiming of having some really bad leadership right now, right? It starts at the top with the president. You can look at the Speaker of the House. You can look at our governor. And you can look at our congressman, which impacts a lot of us in this room. And you and I discussed how it is possible for a congressional district to go blue, and for your office to go blue, and for Mike Collier to go blue, and for Beto O'Rourke to go blue. And my sense is that most people in this room believe that because that's why they're here on a Saturday night. My question to you is, tell people how they can take this message of hope and go out for the next year plus and make it actual fact. That it doesn't just stay a theory, but that we could win all of these and turn the whole state and the whole country blue.
Well, you are the soldier. You know, you are. So here's my line, right? I made this up on the way over, so I'm going to test drive it on you. You look like a safe audience. So it seems to me Texas and the nation are hungry for leadership. If you're hungry for leadership, here's some food for thought. So I want you to chew on this. Should be here all night. It is not enough anymore to just get out and vote. It is not enough. It is not enough. And this next generation of voters, and I know this from working with vets, ages 30 below. So let me give you some insight into the psyche of that generation, which is Maria sitting over there. It is not build it, they will come. It does not work like that for that generation. It is build it, go get them, bring them, remind them, take them back, go get them again, and bring them, and remind them several times, tweeting, Instagramming, Facebooking, whatever else. So they want you to come get them. They do. It's not post a sign, we're having this thing, oh, I'll just show up. It doesn't work like that for them. And I think it's because we all gave them certificates just for showing up. I think that's my generation's fault, you know, those of us with gray hair or chemically altered gray hair. We did that to them. But here's the thing, and I said this earlier. This administration is the gift that keeps on giving. Right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep. So what you got to do is, if you're mad, and a lot of people are mad, harness it. Harness that anger in your energy to do something. Because otherwise you're just going to sit there and throw stuff at the TV because every day it's a new thing. Take that and make a commitment. When I was a young commander, I used to get in the car, I'd sit there and I'd look at the mirror and I'd say, what have I done for my squadron today? Because a leader isn't about doing the mission. And that's, I think, your point, Ira. He and I cannot do this. We cannot. Our job, like I said, is twofold. Tell you about being a politician and inspire the worker bees. That's our job. That's our job. It is you. You must do the mission. And all Ira and I can do, and the Democratic Party, is try to empower you and give you the resources and the education and the tools to get out there and make this happen. That's really all we can do. And so here's a couple things that, if you're recording this, this is my suggestion. Number one is, when we get through the primary, because you're kind of on your own until the primary, when you get through the primary, we present a slate. This is your slate of candidates. And you pick your topics, all right? For the month of April, it's going to be education. And all the candidates within our respective arena talk about education. Then it's May. And May is going to be about, making it up, the environment. And we all have our talking points. That way, the folks that you're working with are hearing the same thing, and it's not different messaging from all 10, down ballot candidates. That's what I think we should do. And the other thing is, like I said, we've gone hard right, we've gone hard left, and there is a void in the middle that's clamoring for someone to reach out to them and say, okay, I know you voted red, but really? Really? Would you consider a monarch? Would you consider someone who has the capacity to walk across the aisles, not someone who is, blocks everything that's out there? That's what's so frustrating, I think, for folks. And so that's, I think, Ira, what we got to do is you got a message, and it's got to be the same message. So when it rolls down to the worker bees, we're telegraphing the same thing. And it's got to be stuff people can live with. We've won on the bathroom. I think we have, right? We're gonna kick that bill, right? We won with the body. Yes, it's under threat, but we don't need to chew on that again, right? Yeah, exactly. The special session now come back in. But the point is, we don't need to talk about the hard social stuff. We gotta stand in the middle because whether we like it or not, we've gotta pull some across ballot. We just do. I know that. I know exactly what number I have. And trust me, I live in Palapino County. I mean, it is red, 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 red. But half my donations have come from Palapino.
Wow.
Why? Because they like me.
Yeah,
Right?
I know you.
They come up to me and they go, all right, I am not a Democrat. Here's my check. Thank you. That's what you got to show them,
Yeah.
right?
We've got to make sure they know you.
And that's your job.
Yeah.
That's your job. Thanks, Ira. That was a good question. All right, what else?
Got one.
Yes, ma'am.
You talked about pesticides,
Mhm.
which is near and dear to my heart, being a person very much against the Monsantos of the world. What does the Agricultural Commission do in regulating those sort of things throughout the state and then working with the agricultural community to do something about rampant pesticide use?
Well, it's interesting. Thank you for that question. So let's take the kaput. Everybody know what that is? The warfarin that was going to be released. Okay, so there's a good example. So the Ag Commissioner approved the use of warfarin, which is basically it's a blood thinner. And the idea was that and it's to help our hogs, help get rid of the hogs. And the idea was and it's just basically rat poisoning, on Red Bull, kind of. So the hogs would eat it and then they'd bleed out. So it was a long death. I mean, it was pretty bad. And what was interesting about that, when that released, of course, there's no research on it except for the folks that created it, which you got to kind of wonder about. But that's not unusual that the company that's creating something and that the EPA approved it. But it approved it under the stipulations that you had to bury the animal 18 inches down. You've been in some of the places in Texas, you're looking to get your shovel in the ground, much less 18. I got a backhoe here. So that's probably not going to happen. So the concern was the secondary effects of, and I like my buzzards, they're wonderful garbage men, right? Oh, there's a dead something, and the buzzards eat it, and it's gone. Circle of life, right? That the buzzards would eat it, and then you'd have this. And of course, if you study it, and you go to Australia where they outlawed it, that exactly happened. It got into the water supply, it got into other secondary animals, but the worst thing was, if you didn't catch it quick enough, it would get into the food system. So if you're already on a blood thinner and you're snacking away on a pork, whatever, pulled pork thing, and next thing you know, you're like, God, I'm really liking it. I don't wonder what's going on. Well, you've ingested the warfarin, the blood thinner, and it can be of danger to folks because it's poison. I mean, it is literally poison. So what was interesting about that, all that stuff came out, and everybody's like, oh, they're all upset. And guess what happened? It was a triad of the willing. It's like a coalition of the willing. Environmentalists, hog hunters, and meat producers, meat packers, got together and sued. And they won. So sometimes when you have a common cause, this is a lesson for us, a common theme of which to rotate around, you can get results. And that's a good example. So I think one of the responsibilities, like I said, is consumer protection, but it's also environmental protection. And again, I'm going to go back to you women who shop and bring stuff into your household, right? If you buy products that are Roundup ready, you introduce glyphosate into your food system. Europe has banned that because they know that. And if you know nothing about glyphosate, it hurts developing brains. It messes with their neurological systems. Now me, I forget things because I'm old, but for a young developing brain, it is devastating. And Europe has said, nope, not with our children. So we will get there. I think we will get there. They will begin to outlaw that. But if you're talking to the cotton farmers in Oklahoma, they defoliage everything with Roundup, and then they process it because they can go later. So you got to have a balance. You got to have a balance in these things because no one's going to give up their family farm to save a tree. Nobody's going to give up a family farm to save an animal. They're just not. People won't. Nowhere around the world do we do that. So you got to give them something else to do. So that's how I do it. I'd incentivize it. And the other thing, I was telling the other group, Canada does something really cool. I'm a big plagiarizer. Oh, look, they're doing it. Let's take it from them. So Canada does a thing What if you came into the Chinese restaurant that we're here tonight, and you had an entire buffet line that said, had a Texas and 50, and it meant everything on this buffet line came within 50 miles of this spot. Would you check it out? Yes. That's not a bad idea. You know they have that in Canada, and it's 100 miles. And I want you to think about something. Food is not picked for your nutritional value. No, no, no. Food is picked to transport. So it'll show up nicely on the grocery store, and then you'll buy it because you have to have nice food. That's just the way we are. We're gatherers. Well, this is nice, right? So that means food comes from a long ways away. It goes on semis. It goes on ships. CO2. Gas. You see where I'm going with this? Whereas if you bought it from 50 miles near you, it's a local farmer, right? It doesn't have to be transported as long. It can be picked closer to its ripeness, meaning it's more nutritious for you. What a concept, right? And then these folks, if they sell out of it, they'll buy more of it. If we had that in our grocery stores and our restaurants, do you not think we could jumpstart urban Dallas with locally grown food? Yes. The answer would be yes. That's an easy one. Yes, we would. So we could do things like that. And oh, by the way, pesticide free, because why? I don't need the insecticide if it's only going an hour. I don't need to wax it because it's an apple coming from New Zealand, right? So there's things you can do on the back end on the demand side. And if you walk into your grocery store, how many know that Walmart now has organics? Yeah. How many of you buy it? Everybody goes, oh, it's so expensive. Well, yeah, they're like, okay, if you don't shop at Walmart, okay, Target, I'll give you everything. I hate Walmart too. But my point is, you gotta buy it. You have to consume it. That's the way it works. And I do. I consume it because I know how hard it is to grow. And I know, yeah, it's a little more expensive, but
It's worth it.
My coffee, yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah, it is. It's worth it. And the more demand women we make of it, the more they'll grow. Yeah, and the cheaper it'll get.
That's right.
Thank you. That's a great question. All right. Anything else on your mind?
Phyllis has a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Just so that you know, Denton has a farmer's market on the weekends, and it also has a rather friendly market, and sometimes they sell fruits and vegetables out there too.
Good. How many of you go to your local farmer's market?
Could you repeat her question?
She was just saying that Denton has a farmer's market here, a small farmer's market. But if you all flooded the farmer's market, let's say, I don't know if they have it on Sunday, normally it's on Saturday morning. Yeah. If you flooded it, do you think more vendors would come?
Yes.
Yeah. If she sold out, do you think they'd bring more? I mean, I sold at a farmer's market. You have to harvest that day. We harvest. I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning, so I would harvest and have fresh fruit for you. Why? Because I don't preserve it. I don't put it in a chiller. I can't afford that. So I bring it to the farmer's market. I sit there and people go, well, I don't know. I'm like, get your hands off my peaches. You want to handle it? Buy it. You know, because it's right. I mean, it's just ready for you there. So, you know, okay, so it's bruised. Get over it. Cut it out. You know, it's okay. It's delicious, though. I mean, fresh produce, you know, fresh harvested food is incredible, and it's so good for you. Yes, ma'am.
What impact does the Ag Commissioner have on CSA?